Hello, FutureDDS family. Today we have a very, very special guest, Dr. Mitch Miller. He's actually a pediatric dentist right now. He did a residency program as well, and he was a general dentist. So, I know a lot of us are filling out the PASS application right now, deciding on if a residency is worth it, if specializing is worth it. And so we have, like I said, Dr. Mitch Miller here today to guide or show us his process and kind of talk about why he decided on going down his path the way he did. So, Dr. Miller, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. This is pretty cool.
Awesome.
Man, thank you. If you could, man, if you could just, again, just reintroduce yourself a little bit, tell everybody like where you're from originally, where you went to undergrad and everything, your dental journey. We just kind of jump into the story and kind of pick your brain a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. So I grew up in South Florida. That's where I am currently now. That's where my practice is. I went to Orlando, went to University of Central Florida, so go Knights, for undergrad. And then after undergrad, I went to Howard University for dental school. After dental school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I had an idea I wanted to do pediatric dentistry, but didn't really have a great idea. So I did a GPR up in New Jersey, up at Newark Bethesda Medical Center. So I did that for a year. At the beginning of the residency, though, I knew I wanted to do pediatric dentistry. So I did the residency. In the middle of the residency, towards the end of it, I applied for pedo residencies. And then after, my GPR, I was a general dentist for a year while I was waiting for that next round of residency to start. So, and then I went to Fort Lauderdale at Nova Southeastern University for my pedo training.
Awesome.
And I was a pediatric dentist now, worked for a year and then decided to open my own practice. So that's where we're at now.
Awesome.
That's crazy.
That's interesting because I went to Howard undergrad, and then
did you?
Yeah, and we actually spent a lot of time at Nova.
Yep, at Nova.
Yeah, because we did Barry's biomedical sciences. Yep. So we spent a lot of time studying at Nova's library. So that's
small world. There you go.
Small, man. But anyway, so everybody has certain advice that they would give to themselves after the fact. Like if I was to tell my younger self while I was an undergrad to do certain things, I would have a long list. Because you've already been through the dental school experience. Are there any tips on how to be successful that you would tell yourself while you were going through dental school?
Oh yeah, I think the biggest tip is, for myself at least, is to relax. I think throughout the whole time you're in dental school, you're worried about your grades, you're worried about getting all your competencies done, getting all your requirements done. Did I do enough crowns? Did I do enough root canals? Did I study enough for this test? Am I on track where am I ranked in the class to see where I'm, going for residencies if I'm going to specialize? So I think the biggest thing is just to really relax and not worry, just do your thing and not worry so much about it. And, I guess it's just work your hardest, do your best, but just relax and don't worry so much about it. It'll all come together at the end. So I think that's the biggest piece of advice that I got.
Man, try to tell ourselves that every day, why you're in it's a little bit different, but
especially now where you guys are, in your position where clinics are closed and or is very limited, and just in these times where you're not really seeing the number of patients you want to see, and it's limited to begin with since you're dental students. I think the biggest thing is just let the process run its course and do its thing, and it'll all end up working out at the end. So that's the biggest piece. Just relax and let the process run itself.
Got you, man. Appreciate that. So, like you said, there's a lot going on, and now recently we both have started considering doing residencies, GPR, AGDs, just to kind of get a little bit more experience or a little bit more of that feel for dentistry before we jump out there into practice. So, you did a residency. Why? I guess if you kind of walk through what factors kind of went into your decision to do a residency, and what things you kind of put into consideration when choosing which residency you actually decided to do.
Yeah, so the biggest thing is I just don't think you really get enough experience to be able to, in dental school, to go out. No, not all dental schools, obviously. Some guys come right out of, some dentists come right out and do fantastic. For me, I knew I wanted more experience right when I was done with dental school to you know, if I extracted a tooth and it broke on me, how can I get it out? You know, like you gotta rely on yourself.
Hey Doc. Hey Doc, do you are you covering your microphone at all?
Or is your phone like propped up a little bit?
It's on my computer. Is this
Okay.
better? I don't.
Okay, there we go.
You sound clearer now.
Now we go. Yeah, there we go.
Okay, maybe I was touching the side of my. Oh, anyway, okay. So, yeah, no, the reason why I chose the GPR is just in dental school. My experience was I had a great experience, great training, but just not enough. I felt like to really dive into dentistry and be on my own. So, doing an extra year where I didn't have to worry about school, I didn't have to worry about classes. It was 100% clinical. And we were still under the guidance of dentists who have been doing this for a long time. It was really important for me, and I felt it, you know, really did good for my clinical skills, my critical thinking skills, my treatment planning. Really went to a whole new level once I started that general practice residency. So, and when I was applying the way, I mean, I really chose based on location. I was living in DC for 4 years. My wife lived up in New York, so I knew I wanted to go to that area. So when we found the residency in New Jersey, it really clicked. There was a lot of attendings that were there on a regular basis, a lot of different specialties. Every specialty ran through the clinic there. Got a lot of emergency training there. So really felt that with the training there, I can, you know, after I completed and graduated from there, that I'd be able to do good on my own and be able to not rely on an instructor checking my work, or if a tooth broke while I was extracting it, I wanted to make sure that I was confident to be able to do a surgical extraction and take it out. I wanted to make sure that I had implant experience more than what I got in dental school. I wanted to make sure that I had done, you know, I don't remember what a crown number of crowns we had to do in dental school, but I wanted to make sure that I had a bunch under my belt before I, you know, actually went out into the real world and started practicing. So.
And so, of course, every residency is different.
Yeah.
And so you did the Beth Israel Newark Hospital residency, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And so how was the transition, you know, from being a resident to actually being a, you know, actual, dentist, doctor in the world? Exactly.
Yeah.
So it was very, it's actually, believe it or not, very similar. In residency, you have attendings helping you, you have attendings guiding you if you need it, but a lot of it is on your own. So if you get called in for an emergency after hours, you're on your own. Maybe a co-resident will come with you, but for the most part, you're deciding the treatment on your own. You're doing the treatment on your own. You're following up with the patient on your own. You're discussing everything with the ER physicians on your own. So it really teaches you, the residency really teaches you how to be independent, but still having, you know, still being able to rely on those attendings should you need it, right? So, and that's really similar in the real world. If you have your own practice and a patient comes in with an emergency, you know, you can always consult with a colleague, you know, that's always available. But at the end of the day, you know, you're the treating doctor and need to make that decision. So the residency really prepares you for that. It really prepares you for learning how to treatment plan more complicated cases, how to treatment plan, just different things that you might not necessarily see in dental school. And then the other thing that it helps is in dental school, at least my experience is maybe one patient in the morning that we would have and one patient in the afternoon. In the real world, that's not how it is, especially not how it is in pediatric dentistry. You know, you're seeing dozens and dozens of patients a day. So it really helps you manage your time. It teaches you how to speak with the patients, and in my case, the patients and the parents. It prepares you. The GPR prepared me really well for the real world, and for the year that I was a general dentist. Helped me a lot, definitely.
Gotcha. Okay, so, you know, I've heard a big myth about, you know, a lot of people saying GPRs are for, you know, a lot of them are at VAs, and you're not going to get that experience seeing children or seeing like a wide range of procedures. But you ended up going towards pediatric dentistry. Like, is this something that you always had in mind? Is this something that you kind of fell into eventually after, you know, doing your GPR and realizing like, okay, I don't want to do the whole gamut of dentistry? How was it? How did you fall into pediatrics?
Yeah, so in dental school, I knew I wanted to do pediatric dentistry. I knew that was the route that I was gonna go but there was not enough experience overall, because you're so focused on school and passing your classes and you're doing the best you can, and then you're so worried about your requirements. At least for me, I kind of put on the back burner. I was like, I want to do pediatric dentistry, but I wasn't 100% sure. I like doing crown and bridge work. I like doing cosmetic dentistry. And then when I started the GPR, it was nice. We had a full array. We had every specialty in there. Everything was coming into the clinic. But it was still, in the back of my mind, I like placing implants. I like doing crown and bridge work. I like doing veneers. But I like pediatric dentistry more. I like the psychology behind it. I love working with kids. I love that I can have an office. My office is all underwater themed and ocean themed and really kid friendly. We have TVs in the ceilings. We have prizes to give away, and I enjoy that aspect of dentistry. That's that isn't so clinical all the time. We get to watch cartoons and sing songs, and that's what I enjoy about pediatric dentistry. And the good thing is that what the GPR helped me do a lot was a lot of these children need orthodontic work. So, multi-specialty, talking to the orthodontist, learning, all that. But then also a lot of, some kids, when they turn 18, they start needing, if they need a crown, if they need an implant, if they're missing a tooth. The GPR really taught me how to plan in multidisciplinary fashion and really be able to focus on everything as a whole and not just the pediatric side of things. So I can kind of plan long term for the patient's health when they start off as a baby in my office till they're 18 years old and we pass them off to the adult dentist. The GPR really taught me how to really every specialty and how to do everything. So it was a really good starting point for me to do pediatric dentistry.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
And so another, hot topic amongst at least our classmates is ownership.
Yeah.
The fact that you came out, you were a general dentist, and then you actually bought your own practice. That's huge. That's that's something that a lot of people are interested in.
Yeah.
And with the whole piece of did you do a startup or did you do an acquisition? We're looking into all of these different topics, and so we wanted to ask you, like, what made you decide on ownership instead of partnering or with a dentist or whatever it may be. Like, what was the final thing where you were just like, what, I want to be an owner, I want to do this?
Yeah, I guess I think from the very beginning of dental school, I knew I wanted to have my own practice, have just a place that I can call my own, that's not really molded by anybody else, that didn't have if you buy into a practice, it could be great, it could be amazing, and it could be the perfect fit for you, but it's going to be, for the most part, the person who owns it before you, or who owns the majority of it, it's going to be their baby. It's going to be what they grew, and you're buying into it. For me, I always wanted to have the full control, 100%, from design from the ground up to the daily, ins and outs of the practice. So I did a complete startup from the ground up. It was an empty space beforehand when we started, from the architectural designs to the murals and paintings that the underwater themed mural that I have in the office. So really from start to finish, and it's nice, and I love it because it really gives me the opportunity to do things my way and how I like things to be done. So if it was me, that's what I recommend. But both ways work, and I have friends that have bought into practices and they're very successful and doing really good too, and that's what they enjoy and they're loving it, and it's great. But for me, I always knew I wanted to have my own practice and do my own thing.
Gotcha. Okay, so just picking your brain a little bit more, and I guess this might be a little selfish of me, but I guess what are some tips that you have on the practice, or I guess like some big I guess points of interest that you've seen while opening a practice, or just going through this process of actually owning that practice? Like, what are some big overarching tips that maybe you can throw out to us to kind of look out for?
Yeah, I think the big thing is everything always takes a little bit longer than originally planned, and it always costs a little bit more. So you go in with a budget, you go in with your loan money that I have X amount of dollars to spend, but then there's always an issue. Even I started with the ground up, there was nothing there before, so there was no demolition, but there was always issues along the way. Right. Something always cost more. Something was always something took a little bit longer. Maybe permitting took a little bit longer. So always I always tell whoever's opening an office, always just plan for a little bit longer, always plan for a little bit more money in there. And then it's a process. There's going to be things that go wrong. There's going to be there's a learning curve. This is my first practice that I've owned. So there's been little, issues along the way. Thankfully all little that are, resolved, but a lot of administration problems and hiring problems. It's just a matter of getting the right team in place, and just understanding that there will be issues. But as long as you can minimize it and learn from it and grow from it, then, usually all works out and you learn from it. You don't make the same mistakes again. So,
yeah.
And so for those of us who are interested in ownership, like, do you recommend any resources? Like, do you listen to any podcasts? Did you read any type of books? Like, what was your main method of research while going to office?
I think the big thing is having a mentor, having somebody that's done it before and that can so my uncle is a pediatric dentist, and that's where I got in my head that that's what I want to do. And he's owned a few practices of his own. So it was really, really nice to have in my back pocket. I can just call him up at any given moment and be like, hey, does this design look right? Does this architecture look good? Does this, I have X amount of chairs in my office. Is that the right number to start with? The nitrous is getting plumbed into this closet. Should it be in this closet? So it's always nice to have, and it's the little things that you don't think about. Do you want your personal office to be at the front desk so you can always hear every conversation, or would you prefer it in the back so you don't have to worry about everything that the front desk is saying and you can put your trust in them? So I think the biggest thing is having a mentor. Yeah. And being a part of all the Facebook groups online that helps. So there's always I'm always asking questions on there, always reading other people's questions and just learning from them, from hiring staff to scheduling patients at a certain time in a certain order, and whatnot. And so I think those have been my two biggest resources for sure.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I think that I don't have any more questions for y'all. I think, we're good to go. I just want to say, on behalf of Tyler, myself, all of our viewers at FutureDDS, just want to say thank you for taking some time out, man, and just really sitting down and kind of walking us through your journey and giving us some good tools and tips that we can use on ours.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for having me. This was great. It was fun.
Dr. Miller, if anybody wants to reach out to you and ask you any questions about any of the topics that we talked today, what's the best way for them to reach out?
Yeah, I think my office email is probably the best. It does come straight to me. So it's smile@Miller, MILLER, P as in pediatric, D as in dentistry, O as in orthodontics.com. So smile@millerpdo.com.
Okay, awesome. We'll make sure we put that down in the description box. But again, we want to say thank you, man, for everyone else out there. If you haven't already, make sure you hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the notification bell so you know whenever we post up new content. But that's going to be it. If you have any questions for Dr. Miller, make sure you go send him emails, add down to the comment. We'll make sure he gets it. But that's going to be it. Thanks again, Dr. Miller.
Awesome. Thanks, guys, for having me. This was great. Appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Thank you.